Hi, I'm Connor O'Driscoll, Heaven Hills Master Distiller from the newly opened Heaven Hills Springs Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky, the bourbon capital of the world. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Jones with Jackson Purchase Distillery in Hickman, Kentucky. We just released our first branded bottles this month, and we'd like for you to celebrate with us on the World Bourbon Toast. Cheers.
Cheers to 230 years.
Yeah.
Woo!
Welcome to the second annual World Bourbon Toast. I'm Katie. Last year, for 24 hours, we toasted around the world in every time zone. But this year, we're going even bigger. Let's go to Colleen Thomas, Vice President of Operations at the Kentucky Distillers Association, to learn more.
Thanks, Katie. Today, we're live streaming from Bourbon and Beyond, where we're attempting to pull off the world's biggest bourbon toast with everybody here at the festival and with you at home.
We'll be streaming live every hour leading up to 4:40 Eastern Time when the big toast happens. And we'll be continuing to stream after the toast as well.
Why are we streaming so much today? Because not only do we have bourbon notables lined up for interviews all day, we also have special guests like Terry Bradshaw and Derek Trucks, just to name a few. And if that is not enough, we have some amazing giveaways that we will be giving out throughout the day.
There are two ways you can enter for a chance to win our giveaways. First, go to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail Facebook or Instagram and make sure you're following us. Then, like and comment on our latest post, the post that features Mandy Ryan, the Director of Kentucky Bourbon Trail Experiences, talking about the giveaways we have available today.
For an extra entry, toast and post with us today. Post a photo or video of you toasting with your favorite bourbon drink. Use our hashtag World Bourbon Toast and tag the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
So let's get started. We're kicking off this first hour with two interviews that put the world in World Bourbon Toast. The first is an interview with Whiskey Hunt Australia, one of our very first interviews in last year's World Bourbon Toast.
Our second interview features friends of the KDA from Ireland. We sit down with the folks from Women in Irish Whiskey.
Stay tuned after the interviews because we'll be announcing our first giveaway winners and telling you about next hour's giveaways. The doors are about to open here at Bourbon and Beyond, and we're just getting started on the World Bourbon Toast.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's so exciting to have you guys back this year, especially since last year you were some of our first guests as we kicked things off and toasted in the Australian time zone. So thank you for that and welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. That was an epic live thing that you did last year. I can't imagine how tired you would have been after that. It was just like bam, bam, bam.
I will say I think we all probably crashed immediately after for a little bit. But it was fun. Well, Scott, really quick, for those just joining us this year, can you tell everyone quickly about Whiskey Hunt Australia, what it is, how it got started?
Yeah, well, sure. So I've only joined Whiskey Hunt, quite recently. Nadia's been involved a little bit longer than I have, but basically the long and short of it is that Whiskey Hunt Australia is kind of like a community here in American whiskey drinkers in Australia. So it kicked off with a good friend of ours, Brock, and he realised there was a big kind of missing link. Lots of bourbon and rye drinkers here in Australia that don't really get to see a lot of the really exciting stuff that you guys get to taste, and often we don't actually get a lot of barrel picks here in Australia. It's a big part of the community in America that we just often don't get. And so yeah, Brock started by organising the Whiskey Hunt in Australia. So it was like a Sydney bus, if you can imagine, 20 whiskey drinkers, rowdy Australians getting on a bus and having rapid fire whiskey tastings in several different bars around Sydney. So that was the Whiskey Hunt. And then Brock started bringing in single barrels. So he started heading over to Kentucky and doing picks started with a 1792. And I think now we're well into the 30s of the number of barrel picks that we've done for Australia. So it's really cool community.
Well, we thank you for your service. And Nadia, you travel the world tasting whiskey. What's the hardest part of your job?
Well, I don't know if you could say that any part of that is hard, but the only part that's hard really is probably trying to create content whilst also trying to be in the moment, because, I am so fortunate with all of the amazing experiences that I've had traveling with whiskey that, you want to kind of just be in that moment, but you've also got this really big responsibility to create content so that people can see what you're actually doing while you're there, and you best showcase what a distillery's got to offer so that you can share that with your platform as well. So that's probably the hardest part, is staying in the moment whilst also trying to get good quality content to share with everyone.
You certainly make it look easy.
Well, that's great. Well, Scott, we understand this most recent trip to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail was your first trip to the trail and to America. And so we'd love for you to talk a little bit about, what were your expectations? What did you think things were going to be like? Were there misconceptions or any surprises? We'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, I think you guys probably have your own expectations about what Australia is like, and the classic shrimp on the barbie and these kind of things. And I'm sure there's a lot of those that we have of Kentucky or of America. So yeah, there were a few things that kind of I came like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But broadly, it was a massive. I was so excited to be there. It was a bucket list item to be in Kentucky and tasting whiskey out of barrels in rick houses, seeing stills up close and personal, and meeting a few people. Got a chance to meet Jimmy Russell, which was literally on my bucket list. So it was absolutely mind blowing. I was probably the most excited about being inside of a rick house. We don't have barrel maturation like that in Australia. I've been to a few whiskey distilleries in Scotland, nothing like that in Scotland, and you guys are really quite unique in the world for the way that you mature your whiskey. So that was really exciting for me to be able to see particularly the temperature change between the bottom and the top of the rick house. I'd read about it, I'd heard about it, but actually experiencing it is something else. That was really, really cool. And I expected a lot of the distilleries, honestly, to be quite similar, but there was a lot of variation in size and style, in kind of scope, the way that things get done between different distilleries. There's a huge amount of variation, and probably a lot of that comes down to the people who actually run those distilleries, and we got to meet some of them, which was very exciting.
Oh, that is wonderful. And it does really, it's funny, we say that, we've got 60 distillery experiences on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, but there are hundreds of ways to experience the bourbon when you're here. So, and here you guys are in Australia, and you got to stop while you were here. You got to stop at Larrikin Bourbon Company, one of the newest additions to the Bourbon Trail. It was founded by Greg Keeley, a U.S. Navy veteran that also spent time in the Royal Australian Navy. And it's obviously influenced by Australian culture. Can you tell us what larrikin means and what you thought of the distillery? And really mainly, what does larrikin mean?
Yeah, we've got lots of Australianisms which are probably not appropriate to share in this format, but larrikin is definitely one of the more tame ones, let's say. And yeah, it's just basically, I think it got born out of basically this idea of mateship, and kind of not taking yourself too seriously, even in kind of tough times. So a larrikin is someone who's kind of, he's always there for his mates, and he's not too serious, maybe a bit jokey, maybe a little bit over the top and boisterous, but still at the end of the day, kind of like, has a good heart. So that's kind of what a larrikin is to me. And I think that tells you a lot about, the Australian way of looking at the world. But I think we share a lot of that with you guys in the States, and particularly in Kentucky. The people that I saw, kind of got to spend time with, I think we have a lot of kind of things in common with you guys. So it makes sense.
That's so great. Well, and Nadia, shifting back to, we were so sad you couldn't make this year's Bourbon Trail trip, but you had a really good reason why. But since you've been to Bourbon and Beyond before, and we're broadcasting this World Bourbon Toast live from there this year, we'd love to hear from somebody who has traveled halfway around the world to go to it, to share why should somebody make that journey and why should somebody come visit Bourbon and Beyond?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned when we were discussing this earlier, it's still something I talk about today quite regularly, actually. It was just such an incredible day. I mean, the fact that I had the opportunity to speak on stage as well while I was there adds to the amazingness of it. But for me, like, music is high up there in my things to why I live life. So when you pair that with whiskey, obviously another thing high up there as to why I live life now, and barbecue, it really just had all my favorite things. So it was just like I felt like this little kid in a candy shop walking into this festival of all my favorite things. And I mean, the bands that get pulled to perform are just spectacular. I mean, the year that I was there, Chris Stapleton headlined, and he is like my ultimate favorite artist. So that really sent it for me. But yeah, the fact that you're there as well, not only at a festival for music, but whiskey, and there's so many things to try and see, and you're just with people that are like-minded too. So I think that really makes it that little bit more special.
Oh, that's great. Talk about bringing the best of the best together.
If you want to learn more about our guests, you can find them at whiskeyhuntaustralia.com, and you can find Nadia on Facebook and Instagram at A Girl Tasting Whiskey.
Thank you guys so much for being with us today, and so good to see you again and talk to you again, and we hope to talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us. And we hear you doing the world's biggest toast on Sunday, so good luck with that, guys.
Thank you.
We are so excited to have friends from Ireland joining us for the World Bourbon Toast. Please welcome Heather Clancy and Anne-Marie Kelly, the two founders of Women in Irish Whiskey. Thank you both for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course. And for those of us that aren't familiar, can you share what Women in Irish Whiskey is all about and why you started it?
Absolutely. So Heather and I are actually friends from school. So we used to play on the same volleyball team together. And through different career progressions, we both found our way into the Irish spirits industry. So we then found that there was a lot of similarities and things that we could learn from each other. So Heather was on the branded side, I was on cask management and production. And just from catching up over a glass of wine or a cup of tea in the evening times, we thought there's so much that can be learned across the space. So really, from our own selfish intentions, we wanted to bring women together and learn from other people from all across Ireland. And that was over 3 years ago now. So now we have a network of over 300 women from north, south, east, west, from every type of faculty in the country. And we've had the pleasure as well of inviting some colleagues from the Kentucky Bourbon Trail over this year. So we're excited to see it expand and touch base with some of our colleagues internationally now as well, which is exciting.
Well, as one of the people that got invited over, it was just remarkable to be able to spend some time with so many women who are so enthusiastic and passionate about the industry. And who makes up your membership?
Oh, it's really honestly anything and everything. I think when we had started it, we probably thought it would be people similar to us or similar age range, but it's far more vast and multifaceted than we ever would have anticipated. So we have everything from graduate level to, say, middle management individuals, to also people sort of returning from maternity leave that are now, or even as well, sort of older demographic of women finding employment in their local areas that may not have had any exposure to the spirits industry before. So it really is across the whole country and across every type of woman. So that's what's been so nice. And the structure of our events as well is we love to bring everyone together and really sort of plan it behind the scenes, as we know that many networking events can mean you go with your colleagues and you stay in your hub and you have a nice cup of coffee and a croissant and then you go home. Whereas when anyone shows up to the door of the day of our event, we say, no, we've already planned it, we've already structured it. So it slightly pushes people out of their comfort zone, but it's always the best way for people to learn and grow and exchange ideas then. So even with that, we bring people from multinational backgrounds to sort of groups with smaller independent individuals. And it's so interesting, just the different learning exchanges they can have with each other. So the multinationals might have data and sort of behind the scenes sort of metrics that they could analyze with people, but the smaller independents are so dynamic with their innovation and their processes that they can quickly switch and change anything. So there's really something in it for everyone. I mean, a distiller beside an e-commerce manager, beside a marketing manager, all of those people just create such a fascinating melting pot, and is such a motivating thing then to leave after the day.
It's just extraordinary the way that whiskey connects people, and it connects people from all over the world. What similarities do you see between Irish whiskey culture and the Kentucky bourbon culture?
Well, I mean, Colleen, I think we learned a lot from you when you guys came over and were telling us a little bit more about bourbon. I've never been to Kentucky myself, but it's definitely on the hit list, and I'd love to be there next year when you're celebrating World Bourbon Day. But I think really the deep roots and heritage and storytelling is something that really connects both the bourbon industry and the Irish whiskey industry. It's very much tied to kind of regional identity, national pride, and both cultures seem to really emphasize, storytelling, family histories, legendary figures, whether that be traditional Irish distilling families, new female founders who are opening up the space, the master distillers in Kentucky that have been, doing this for 200, 300 years that we learned about from you. So I think that's something that really connects both things. The locale as well, both bourbon and Irish whiskey have to legally be produced in the US and in Ireland respectively. So that's something I think we take a lot of pride in Ireland, that you can only get it from Ireland. You can't have anything else kind of masquerading as Irish whiskey. And I think people from the US and from Kentucky specifically are incredibly proud of that, that area of orientation that bourbon has. So that's something I think. And then to break it down to the more fun stuff, the social side, the way we enjoy bourbon or Irish whiskey, I think there's a lot of similarities there. And I think what was really amazing when you guys visited us was exposing the Irish audience to Kentucky bourbon. And just, we use a lot of Kentucky bourbon casks in our processing, and it was really fascinating to see the similarities and just have everybody relax and enjoy a dram. So there are, I think, some of the similarities that we can see between the two.
And speaking of the social aspect of it, when I attended your event back in March, you guys hosted a vinyl night where we paired a whiskey with an album. What is your go-to musical vibe when you're enjoying a dram with friends?
Exactly. So actually with that one, it really reminded me of probably the last time I had a whiskey drink in a vinyl bar, beyond our own events, of course, that doesn't count. But I actually have it in front of me. So I have Diana Ross's album, and I was in a whiskey bar in Singapore as part of a trade show. So I was there with some colleagues. And the reason we started the whiskey and vinyl nights, it comes back to this feeling and sometimes this emotion around certain types of drinks. I mean, Guinness always has a certain connection to sort of home or heritage. And I've always found whiskey to be a very cool drink. And this persona that sort of is within yourself when you're in a vinyl bar, you're sipping on a whiskey and you're listening to a piece of art from a musician the way it's meant to be intended. So culture today is all about skipping and shuffling songs. You can't do that with a record. So that's what we like to do with a whiskey as well. It's all about slow savoring. And this one was just, it's a disco classic. So you got to have a bit of fun with it as well.
Oh, you are speaking to my heart. What about you, Heather? Do you have a musical vibe?
Do you know, again, I think it really depends on the whiskey that we're drinking, and that's been the real fun of those whiskey and vinyl nights. But I think one that springs to mind lately is we did an event back at the end of July, so just only a couple of weeks ago, and we had the Irish artist CMAT playing, who's an amazing star from Ireland, already huge here, and I think starting to make waves in the States as well. So we had her record playing at the event. So she's someone that I am going back to again and again at the moment.
Well, and we've got Noah Kahn playing at Bourbon and Beyond, where we're doing the world's biggest bourbon toast coming up on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And he recorded that song with Hosier. So
yeah.
Another connection right there.
Exactly.
Music, bourbon, whiskey, Irish whiskey, bringing the world together.
I know.
And the World Bourbon Toast is about raising a glass together across borders. How do you toast in Ireland?
So I actually have my prop ready to go here. Anne-Marie had her vinyl. Oh, we both have a glass. We can pop it up there.
Great minds.
So this is it. At least, it's a little bit later for us in the day. But in Ireland, we say sláinte, which is the Gaelic for cheers.
Well, sláinte to Heather and Anne-Marie for zooming in from Ireland after a long day at work. We appreciate it so much, and it's proof that good whiskey and good friends do bring the world a little closer. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you. Sláinte.
Sláinte.
I'm so excited we got to talk to our friends from overseas.
I do. I love catching up with them.
It's so much fun. And their accents, oh my gosh, I could listen to them talk all day.
I know. Everything is so elegant, so much more funny, although I like your accent.
I like yours too.
And we're all fluent in bourbon.
That's right. We all speak bourbon. So it's time for our first giveaway of the day.
We are about to announce the winner of the Buzzard's Roost and Chicken Cock Distilling swag set.
Say that 5 times fast.
Please don't make me say that again.
So this lucky winner is going to receive several merch items from Buzzard's Roost, including a t-shirt, keychain, lapel pin, fan, challenge coins, plus a whole lot more. Plus, that's not all, swag from Chicken Cock Distilling, including a branded rocks glass, wood coaster, and cigar rest, beanie hat, and a 4-piece box of Art Edibles small batch whiskey truffles.
And that is a party in a box. Okay, drum roll. I'm going to announce the winner here. It is John Craig from Facebook.
Congratulations!
Congratulations, and keep an eye on your DMs.
So next hour we have more great interviews coming, and we've got 2 lucky winners next hour. So the first winner prize package is going to be Bourbon Tours for 2 with Becker and Bird and Pegasus.
Becker and Bird, I have been there. It is phenomenal. You can't miss the place to see.
The winner will receive a Becker and Bird Farm and Field Bourbon Tour for 2 and 2 tickets to Pegasus's Bourbon Social Tour.
Bourbon Social Tour. All right. Second prize package, Buzzard's Roost and Wilderness Trail swag set tour and tasting. The winner will receive several merch items from Buzzard's Roost, including a t-shirt, keychain, lapel pin, fan, challenge coins, and more. Plus, Wilderness Trail tour tasting for 2, paired with 1 bag of dry stack coffee, a ball cap, a branded glass, and the best part, a pair of Cooper the Distillery cat socks.
Oh, how cute. I want those.
Cooper's the best.
So be sure to keep an eye on your notifications when we go live this next hour. Again, we're going to be talking to more special guests. We're going to be announcing more winners, and we're going to be getting closer to the World Toast at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time.
That is correct. And don't forget to toast and post using hashtag World Bourbon Toast and tag the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. We'll see you soon.